It was supposed to be just another quiet Saturday morning, a moment like any other in Brookhaven Hills, Texas. The sun was pouring down through the haze, the mist fading away as I was out in the driveway washing my old Ford F-150. The sound of water hissing across the chrome was the only noise. And for a moment, I felt almost ordinary. The kind of ordinary I'd spent years trying to find again after leaving the Navy SEALs. Sarah, my wife of 12 years, stepped out of our SUV wearing that pale blue sundress I loved. The cotton fabric swirled softly in the breeze, and her dark hair loose around her shoulders glowed in the sunlight, reminding me of the first morning I saw her smile. She was humming under her breath, juggling grocery bags as she walked toward the house. It was the kind of moment that made you appreciate what you had, the peace, the small things. I leaned against the hose, just watching her for a few moments longer than I should have. She caught me staring and laughed, not helping at all. Sailor. I grinned back. I'm supervising. Important job, I teased. But as she passed by, I noticed the small crease between her brows, the one that appeared when something was bothering her. A few minutes later, while she was unlocking the door, she looked back at me. I saw that gray Malibu again last night. It passed by at 11 o'clock. That's the third time this week, she said. I didn't think much of it. Probably just a delivery driver who got lost. You know these winding streets. But Sarah wasn't convinced. Ethan, packages keep disappearing on our block. The Willis's doorbell camera went dead 2 days ago. Doesn't that sound off to you? I tried to keep my tone light. I notice things, hon. If there's a real threat, I'll see it coming. Today's too pretty to borrow trouble. But she wasn't having it. She sighed, pressing her lips together. I just don't like the feeling of being watched. I wanted to tell her I felt it, too, that same prickling sensation in the back of my neck every time headlights slowed near our driveway, but I didn't. She had lived through enough sleepless nights while I was overseas. She deserved peace. So, I turned the hose back on and focused on the truck, pretending not to already be scanning the street like I used to scan rooftops in Fallujah. The day slipped by in its usual suburban rhythm. The buzz of a lawnmower a few houses down, kids laughing, bouncing a basketball in the cul-de-sac. If you had asked me in that moment, I'd have said everything was perfect. But Sarah's voice interrupted that fragile calm. She was crouched by the SUV, rearranging the last of the groceries. You always think I worry too much, she said quietly. But one day, you're going to wish you listened. I tried to lighten the mood, flashing her a grin. That's why I married you. Someone's gotta keep me paranoid. She smiled back, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. I wish I'd listened to her more carefully. I wish I hadn't brushed off the tension in the air. We kept going about our day, Sarah moving back into the house with the groceries. I stayed out, finishing the truck, but that feeling, that awareness, was still there. I glanced around. The street was still. The only sound was the water dripping from the hose. Then, it happened. A shadow stretched across the edge of the driveway. 2 men were approaching. At first, I thought they were delivery guys or landscapers, but as they drew closer, I noticed the cheap safety vests and the plastic badges clipped to their shirts. The taller one, a man with a thick beard, stepped forward, holding his badge out in front of him. Ma'am, you're in violation of HOA regulations. Froze. There was no HOA on our street. I knew something was off. Sarah stopped and shifted the grocery bags higher on her hip. There's no HOA here, she said, clearly confused. The bearded man didn't back off. Multiple complaints, he insisted. Unauthorized vehicles. Trash violations. Unapproved landscaping. We'll have to issue a fine. Sarah's voice remained steady but firm. I think you got the wrong address. That's when the man reached out. His hand shot out and grabbed her upper arm, yanking her toward him. I heard her gasp. She tried to pull away, but his grip tightened. Everything in me went cold, then hot. A burst of adrenaline shot through my veins, and before I could think, I was moving toward them. I didn't even hesitate. The next thing I knew, Sarah was falling backward, crashing against the SUV. I saw her foot catch the edge of the curb, and then I heard it. The sound of bone breaking as her ribs hit the concrete. It wasn't loud, but it cut through the morning like a rifle shot. That sound will never leave me. She gasped for air, trying to push herself up and failing. Her breath came in shallow, ragged bursts. I felt like I couldn't move for a moment, like the world had stopped spinning around me. And then instinct took over. I started toward the men, stepping in between them and Sarah, my hands clenched at my sides. They didn't know what was coming. The man who had shoved Sarah was still standing, watching the street like nothing had happened. His partner, the stockier one, was rummaging through Sarah's purse. I couldn't let this continue. I couldn't let them get away. I moved faster now, closer to them, and that's when I saw the knife. The stocky man was reaching for it, ready to lunge. My mind went into overdrive. I had seconds, maybe less. I needed a weapon. I needed to stop them from escaping. I sprinted toward the porch, knowing my rifle was just a few yards away. My fingers fumbled for the latch, but I found it quickly. I pulled the M4 out, feeling the weight of it in my hands. I swung it up and rested the stock against my shoulder, ready. The two men were retreating now, heading toward the Malibu, but I didn't trust them to leave without a fight. The car's engine roared to life, and I knew it was time. I aimed at the vehicle, fired 6 shots in quick succession, and watched the car jerk sideways as the rounds hit. The men tried to escape, but the car was disabled. The chase was over. I didn't lower the rifle, not yet. I stayed where I was, keeping my eyes on them as they scrambled out of the car, hands raised in surrender. I watched the panic drain out of them. They were done. The sound of sirens grew louder in the distance as I kept the rifle trained on them. In those moments, I wasn't thinking about the noise or the neighbors watching from their porches. I was thinking about Sarah, her broken breath, the way she'd looked at me with pain and steadiness in her eyes. I would have done anything to make sure she was okay. And when the officers arrived, the tension was still thick. They saw the situation for what it was: a defense of my home, my wife. They asked questions, but I kept my answers short. I didn't need to say much. Later, when the investigation continued, we found out the men were hired by a man named Richard Kane, the president of the local homeowners association. It turned out, he was the one behind the whole plan to scare us out of our home. But in that moment, I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about what Sarah had said earlier. "You always think I worry too much." I wish I had listened more closely, trusted her instincts. In the weeks that followed, I had to learn how to live with what happened. The house was quiet again, but it felt different. Peace wasn't something you just assume. It's something you keep watch over. Sarah came home from the hospital in late spring, her ribs still healing. But the simple act of seeing her walk through the door made everything feel just a little bit more normal. The world had shifted under our feet, but somehow we'd found a way to rebuild, a way to keep going. And though things seemed calm, I still couldn't shake the feeling that I was always on alert, always watching, waiting. But that's what peace really is, isn't it? Something you protect, something you keep watch over. The next time I hear that hum of an engine or catch a glimpse of headlights slowing near my driveway, I'll be ready. Not because I expect trouble, but because I know how fast it can find you when you least expect it.